Thank you for having me out. The recorded music you hear today is my music that I created and recorded. So with that, wake up, lovers. It is time to start the journey. We have seen enough of this world. It is time to see another. These two gardens may be beautiful, but let us pass beyond them and go to the gardener. Let us kiss the ground and flow like a river towards the ocean. Let us go from the valley of tears to the wedding feast. Let us bring the color of blossoms to our pale faces. Our hearts shiver like autumn leaves about to fall. In this world of dust, there is no avoiding pain or feeling exile. Let us become like beautifully colored birds and fly to the sweet land of paradise. Everything is painted with the brush of the invisible one. Let us follow the hidden signs and find the painter. It is best to travel with companions. On this perilous journey, only love can lead the way. We are like rain splashing on a roof. Let us find our way down the spout. We are like an arched bow with the arrow in place. Let us become straight and release the arrow towards the target. We have stayed at home scared like mice. Let us find our courage and join the lions. Let our souls turn into a mirror, lounging to reflect the essence of beauty. Let us begin the journey home. That was a poem by Rumi, the 13th century Sufi poet, and we'll be returning to Rumi. Brown Penny by Butler Yeats. I whispered, I am too young, and then I am old enough. Wherefore I threw a penny to find out if I might love. Go and love, young man, if the lady be young and fair. Ah, penny, brown penny, I am looped in the loops of her hair. Oh, love is the crooked thing. There is nobody wise enough to find out all that is in it. For he would be thinking of love till the stars had run away and the shadows eaten the moon. Ah, penny, brown penny, one cannot begin it too soon. I am actually creating an oracle deck. I don't know if y'all are familiar with oracle decks. I'm using the art of a local artist friend, but I came up with the concept and I'm writing the guidebook. An oracle deck basically is a set of cards that has different archetypal images on it and symbolic images that draw a myth, So this is my essay on the love card. And I should say, you are about to hear from the world's foremost expert on love, as far as deYampert is concerned. Now, Joe is the world's foremost expert on love, as far as Joe is concerned. And Rosa is the world's foremost expert on love, as far as Rosa is concerned. So keep that in mind. This applies to Rick, hopefully. Who can decipher the sacred geometry of the heart? We quote the bards, sages, and scientists who have attempted to figure that one out before we shrug along with them and fall back into the indecipherable mystery of love. The Irish poet William Butler Yeats wrote, "Oh, love is the crooked thing. There is nobody wise enough to find out all that is in it, for he would be thinking of love till the stars had run away and the shadows eaten the moon. Ah, penny, brown penny, brown penny, one cannot begin it too soon." Each of us finds our way into the labyrinth of the heart. It's just that, led by the impish Puck, we end up in a heart landscape quite unlike the one plotted by the cartographer. That is, the one plotted by our very selves, who we had believed to be so learned. But even the wise man and the wise woman are unable to comprehend the simple truth. We don't choose love. Love, the crooked thing, chooses us. Lovecraft 101 teaches us the dire consequences that await us within the labyrinth. Midway in, we realize we are doomed, just as the poets and psalmsmiths had prophesied. They say, we are lost in love. We are crazy in love. Love is blind. We are drowning in love. Yet we are giddy in this maze. It's the only one in which we don't feel like a knight in full armor who has blindly wandered into a moat to save the princess in the castle, only to wake up to his situation too late. Yet to exit this maze, whether by expulsion or one's own volition, is an even greater madness. Who among us has never had his or her heart broken? Who among us has ever even met someone whose heart has never been humbled? Yeats again, in his poem, Her Anxiety. All true love must die, alter it the best into some lesser thing. Prove that I lie. Perhaps you have been the one to maul love or to diminish love. The English poet John Suckling, writing in 1659, wrote, I love John Suckling. Thank you, my 10th grade English teacher. Suckling wrote, I have loved 3 whole days together, and am like to love 3 more, if it prove fair weather. Time shall moult away his wings before he shall discover in the whole wide world again such a constant lover. We do well to heed the poet Springsteen, whose wisdom echoes that of Khalil Gibran and the Taoist. Quote, that feeling of safety you prize, well, it comes with a hard, hard price. You can't shut out the risk and the pain without losing the love that remains. We're all riders on this train. You're on your own with this love thing. Well, not really. It takes 2 to tango, but you know what I mean. Thank you. Just a brief introduction on Rumi. I'm going to read some from Rumi and from Yeats, who's my favorite poet. And my lady Michelle chose most of these Rumi poems. She's a big Rumi fan. He was born in 1207 in Afghanistan. His father was a Sufi, and that's always, I see that defined as the mystical side of Islam. So Rumi became a religious scholar and taught spiritual practices and helped the poor. And at age 37, his own spiritual calling unfolded before him. He met a spiritual teacher that he called Shams, S-H-A-M-S. And that is a word that means soulmate. Shams showed Rumi an ecstatic way of worship through poetry, music, and meditative whirling. You've probably heard the term whirling dervish. Dance can be a very sacred activity, movement. This led Rumi to become a poet and write about his experiences and visions. His poems were his teachings and became more ecstatic and esoteric when combined with music. Legend says that at his funeral in 1273, which I'm not sure where that was, representatives from many religions attended: Muslims, Christians, Jews, Buddhists, Hindus. Legend says all of those attended. Sounds kind of like a UU gathering, doesn't it? So, yeah, I think Rumi may have been the original UU. And one word on what I'm about to read. The first piece I read was Rumi, and I'm about to read some more. The foremost Rumi translator, quote unquote, is Coleman Barks. If you go in Barnes and Noble, you'll see a lot of Coleman Barks books. It's important to know, for me as a writer, and I think just for any reason, he does not directly translate Rumi's poetry. He interprets Rumi's poetry. Now, what he did was he's read the literal translations. I think a lot of them were done in the late 1800s by Victorian British scholars. But he reads those original translations, and as he says, he transmutes them, interprets them into American free verse. So what we are hearing is Coleman Barks' distillation of Rumi's poetry. And actually, I may have told you all this before. Sitar is considered the quote unquote national instrument of India, but its origins are actually in ancient Persia. You know, what today is Iran. So. Let us fall in love again and scatter gold dust all over the world. Let us become a new spring and feel the breeze drift in the heavens scent. Let us dress the earth in green, and like the sap of a young tree, let the grace from within sustain us. Let us carve gems out of our stony hearts and let them light our path to love. The glance of love is crystal clear, and we are blessed by its light. Let us fall in love again and scatter gold dust all over the world. That was a Rumi poem. And most of the Rumi poems I've seen, is my volume good?
Yes, wonderful. A lot of them don't have titles in the books that I've come across, so. And again, this is one of my compositions you're about to hear, a flute piece.
A spirit that lives in this world and does not wear the shirt of love, such an existence is a deep disgrace. Be foolishly in love, because love is all there is. There is no way into presence except through a love exchange. If someone asks, but what is love? Answer, dissolving the will. True freedom comes to those who have escaped the questions of free will and fate. Love is an emperor. The two worlds play across him. He barely notices their tumbling game. Love and lover live in eternity. Other desires are substitutes for that way of being. How long do you lay embracing a corpse? Love, rather, the soul, which cannot be held. Anything born in spring dies in the fall. But love is not seasonal. With wine pressed from grapes, expect a hangover. But this love path has no expectations. You are uneasy riding the body? Dismount. Travel lighter. Wings will be given. Be clear like a mirror, reflecting nothing. Be clean of pictures and the worry that comes with images. Gaze into what is not ashamed or afraid of any truth. Contain all human faces in your own without any judgment of them. Be pure emptiness. What is inside that, you ask? Silence is all I can say. Lovers have some secrets that they keep. Lovers find such secret places inside this violent world where they make transactions with beauty. Reason says, nonsense. I have walked and measured the walls here. There are no places like that. Love says, there are. Reason sets up a market and begins doing business. Love has more hidden work. Halaj, the Sufi master, steps away from the pulpit and climbs the stairs of the gallows. Lovers feel a truth inside themselves that rational people keep denying. It is reasonable to say surrender is just an idea that keeps people from leading their lives. Love responds, no, this thinking is what is dangerous. Using language obscures what Shams, the teacher, came to give. Every day the sun rises out of low word clouds into burning silence. Advice doesn't help lovers. They're not the kind of mountain stream you can build a dam across. An intellectual does not know what the drunk is feeling. Don't try to figure out what those lost inside love will do next. Someone in charge will give up all his power if he caught one whiff of the wine must from the room where the lovers are doing who knows what. One of them tries to dig a hole through a mountain. One flees from academic honors. One laughs at famous mustaches. Life freezes if it doesn't get a taste of this almond cake. The stars come up spinning every night, bewildered in love. They'd grow tired with that revolving if they weren't. Those were three pieces by Rumi. Personally, I have not read Rumi in his original translations, but I love what Coleman Barks does. Rumi is the source, and he's the disciple, and I don't know. I think there's deep wisdom there. Although they laugh at famous mustaches, I don't know what the hell that line means. But I guess a good handlebar mustache is worth a laugh. So. I'm going to switch musical selections here for Yeats. A poet to his beloved. I bring you with reverent hands the books of my numberless dreams. White woman that passion has worn, as the tide wears the dove gray sands, and with heart more old than the horn that brimmed from the pale fire of time. White woman with numberless dreams, I bring you my passionate rhyme. He gives his beloved certain rhymes. Fashion your hair with a golden pin and bind up every wandering tress. I bade my heart build these poor rhymes. It worked at them, day out, day in, building a sorrowful loveliness out of the battles of old times. You need but lift a pearl-pale hand and bind up your long hair and sigh, and all men's hearts must burn and beat, and kindle like foam on the dim sand, and stars climbing the dew-dropping sky. Live but to light your passing feet. Never give all the heart. Never give all the heart, for love will hardly seem worth thinking of to passionate women if it seems certain, and they never dream that it fades out from kiss to kiss. For everything that's lovely is but a brief, dreamy, kind delight. Oh, never give the heart outright, for they, for all smooth lips can say, have given their hearts up to the play. And who could play it well enough if deaf and dumb and blind with love? He that made this knows all the cost, for he gave all his heart and lost. He wishes his beloved were dead. Oh. Were you but lying cold and dead, and lights were paling out of the west, you would come hither and bend your head, and I would lay my head on your breast, and you would murmur tender words, forgiving me because you were dead. Nor would you rise and hasten away, though you have the will of wild birds, but know your hair was bound and wound about the stars and moon and sun. Oh, would, beloved, that you lay under the dock leaves in the ground, while lights were paling one by one. The Song of Wandering Angus. I went out to the hazelwood because a fire was in my head, and cut and peeled a hazel wand, and hooked a berry to a thread. And when white moths were on the wing, and moth-like stars were flickering out, I dropped the berry in a stream and caught a little silver trout. When I had laid it on the floor, I went to blow the fire aflame, but something rustled on the floor, and someone called me by my name. It had become a glimmering girl with apple blossom in her hair, who called me by my name and ran and faded through the brightening air. Though I am old with wandering through hollow lands and hilly lands, I will find out where she has gone, and kiss her lips, and take her hands, and walk among long dappled grass, and pluck till time and time are done the silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun. I was toying whether to explain the dead poem. I'm such a fan of Yeats. It's like, he wishes his beloved were dead. And I've got, anyway, it was years before I found a reference where it's written from the point of view of the Irish Celtic god of death. So that kind of makes, I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing, but okay, I can see where the god of death would want his beloved joining him. And that last poem, the Song of Wandering Angus, in some version, Irish myth is so not black and white. There's all these myths that there's so many varied versions, but in one version, Angus is the Celtic Irish god of love. And that poem I read, Fire in the Head, that is Celtic Irish term for awakening into enlightenment, God consciousness, poetic muse. It's when suddenly we're taken out of mundane reality and we feel we're at the gate of something and we don't know what. So he goes into the woods of Fire in the Head and he encounters this beautiful young woman. So she could be his muse, she could be God or goddess, she could be poetic inspiration, she could be universal consciousness. So that's some of where that poem is at. And if you could indulge me, I'm going to conclude with a poem I wrote. If You Foresee My Death. My Lady Michelle, well, I should say, I have, I feel such at home here and with y'all, and thank you for inviting me back and back. And all the talks I give is just because I have this, what I call the rat prag brain, which is my rational pragmatic brain. And it says, there's a rational explanation for every freaking thing. And over here I have what I call my misty into brain, the mystical intuitive brain. And she says, Rick, ignore that rat prag bastard. He doesn't know everything that he claims to know. And she'll quote, or maybe Shakespeare quoted her, there are more things under heaven and earth than are dreamt of in our philosophy. So when I met Michelle and she told me, she said, well, I'm a psychic intuitive. And I have doors open to that. And then just over time, just various things began to convince me that she isn't tuned into those wavelengths. So this is based on that. If you foresee my death, will you tell me? Yes, it's a trip having a psychic intuitive witch as a girlfriend, never knowing when you may venture into the Chauvet cave of my mind to gaze at the rock paintings there, the ones carved in my ancient past and the ones carved in Spiritus Mundi of what is yet to be. If you foresee my death, you have to tell me. I want to know. That would be very useful information indeed. No, not to avoid the inevitable. Fate is fate and weird is weird. That's W-Y-R-D, the Scandinavian concept of fate. It's weird having a lover so adept at peering at the lions and she lines carved into the archaic stone of my heart and etched into my hall of dead memories. The time the hunter became the hunted and the saber-tooth ripped off my head. The time I wandered in the desert looking for the Sphinx buried in the unforgiving sands. The time I gasped as I witnessed you burning at Salem. It's sort of unfair that you've been introduced to my past lives, and I don't have a freaking clue to who these guys are, except what you've told me. Are they nice guys? Maybe they are rogues or bastards, and you would have bitch slapped any one of them for doing shitty things to you if they believed they had been given half-assed excuse. Would you have fallen in love or lust with one of my past lives? Would you have wrapped your naked thighs around one of my past lives and thrashed like Maeve and her wanton heart and intoxicating yoni, seducing Cuchulainn? But back to my fate, my weird. If you foresee my death, will you tell me? I want to know, not because I'm scared and not because I will begin to arrange my life to avoid dancing with Mr. D, but because it will be a cool party trick when I tell people, this is how I'm going to die. And years or months or minutes later, when it happens exactly that way, they will go, holy shit, he wasn't shitting me, which would be kind of cool. But I really want to know so I can make a few plans. I want to finish my novel. I want to shapeshift into a crow one more time and fly with my tribe above the slash pine forest in the new spring. I want to see Scorpio ascending the summer sky one more time, knowing that the astrophysicists say the wild wandering stars are also fulfilling their own destiny. And one day or one Kali Yuga or two from now, all constellations we see will have entropied into nothingness. Although if you have seen my past lives, then maybe I have future lives awaiting me. If you foresee my death, you have to tell me. Right before that moment arrives, I want to make love with you one last time. Thank you all.